Hello, hello, and welcome to the Eclipse Evolution podcast. I'm your hostess, Savannah Rose. Thank you so much for joining me today. I'm so excited to connect with you all. Thank you for such a beautiful 2025 year. The growth has just been truly heartwarming. And I'm so excited to announce my final guest, plural, for the season, for the year. Miss Sherry and Krista, they're tuning in from my home state. Finally found someone in my neck of the woods to connect with. And their message of self-love and just promoting holistic wellness and beauty is something that I feel like you all will be able to connect with no matter where you are in your life, because really it's about the inside self-care that gives us our glow and gives us that true, I would say, holistic approach. But I'll let them explain more about what they have going on. It's very exciting. But whoever would like to start first, if you wouldn't mind just introducing yourselves, and we can get this convo rolling.
I'll go first. I'm Sherry Dindle. I am a co-owner of Wholesome Hippie, an all-natural skincare company that's manufactured right here in the state of Georgia. And also on social media, I go by the real Slim Sherry, and so I make a lot of content, not just about a holistic, wellness, but also just about general everyday life. So that's me. I'll let
Love
Krista
it.
take it.
My name is Krista Dias. I'm the other co-owner of Wholesome Hippie. And I am not, I'm on socials at that to mom life, but I don't post a ton of content. I'm mainly doing like mostly wholesome hippie stuff. So um,
Perfect. Yeah. The behind the scenes is just as important. Then we have a fourth guest. I forgot to introduce him. This is my loyal sidekick, Cuddly. He's one of my
cute.
five cats. He'll be joining us today. You might see his tail from time to time. Yes. Well, perfect. Well, I appreciate y'all just taking the time out of your busy days. And so, just to kind of kick things off, would you please share more about Wholesome Hippie? Because, from my understanding, it is an inclusive beauty along the lines of like skincare mostly products, but there's all different kinds of, I would say, needs that you cater to as well. I would just love to know more about how it started and the mission behind it.
Krista, go ahead.
Okay, so Wholesome Hippie, we're a small batch, all natural company. And honestly, a lot of it came from our own needs. Sherry has super, super sensitive skin. We try to be aware as much as we can of, harsh chemicals and things that we put on our skin because hopefully and if you don't, what you put on your skin goes in your skin. So it affects like all of it. And we do have a very, very hefty beauty side of our business, but we mainly our top sellers are our wellness products, which is like good for the whole family. So we went super mega viral on TikTok in like fall of 2023, 2024, something like that.
2023.
2023. It's been a blur. And then, and it was our magnesium cream, our topical magnesium cream that was our takeoff point. And we've been around, Wholesome Hippie's been around since we actually launched in March of 2020, which wasn't ideal, but our
Wow. Yeah.
We didn't plan it that way.
obviously we didn't do it that way. Our customers ended up falling in love with the products. And when it was time to repurchase, it was a crazy ride because we couldn't get containers. Like we were just doing mismatched stuff because the demand was so high. They loved it. So we've basically just been, clawing our way through since March of 2020 and then going viral on TikTok. So like I said, our biggest seller is our magnesium, and that actually came from a need from our 14-year-old daughter, who at the time when we produced this was only 10, and she was going through some major anxiety situations, and we were researching things we could do. The pediatricians, of course, was like, well, if you don't want to try, you know, big pharma meds, which we're not anti big pharma. We just look for alternative options first. She's like, try L-theanine, which is a magnesium. So we tried that, and they have like gummies and supplements that you can take, but trying to get a 10-year-old to swallow a capsule, it was like near impossible. And then when Sherry was trying to research how we, feed it to her like rich magnesium foods in her diet, like there just wasn't enough that she could eat. And again, a picky 10-year-old isn't gonna, down, a bunch of spinach and like whatever. So she had in her research figured out that when you actually take supplements, you're only absorbing 8 to 10% when it goes through your digestive. When it's topical, it can be anywhere between 40 and 60%.
Whoa.
And yeah, we use quality ingredients in our products. We're very, very big on like no parent. We have a very long no list. And many people don't realize that magnesium helps with about 300 different functions in your body. And 80%, I think it's actually more than 80% of Americans are your mood. It can affect your sleep big time. It can affect anxiety. When someone is in an active panic attack, it's actually using all of the stores of magnesium in your body. So your body
Mhm.
is in fight or flight mode when you're having an anxiety attack. So your magnesium, any stored magnesium you have just goes right, plummets, right? So it affects everything. So when we created this, I mean, we did it. We had our chemists like create like this is what we're looking for. This is what we want. This is what we need, and it's been amazing. We have now like 5 different. We call it our calm cream. We have 5 different blends of calm cream. We have a super sleepy. We have a daytime focus for all of my ADHD or just have a hard time focusing or staying awake in that like afternoon slump. We have a pain blend, which is great for arthritis and, all headaches, things like that, joint pain, unscented. So we've really grown that part of the wellness side. And it just really stemmed from our 14-year-old daughter.
What a labor of love. I love stories like that where it's like you see a need and one that's close to your own heart, and then, gosh, being able to share that with so many people, that's really special.
Yeah, and we didn't, when you have a child that's going through something like that, and I think a lot of kids, it's funny because we happened to launch our company March of 2020 when COVID, right before the shutdown. I call it a breakdown because that's what it feels like. Right before the shutdown, we didn't plan it that way, but we were there and not knowing, then fast forward like a year later when the kids are kind of coming out of that, even though we were still in the thick of it, not really, I think, understanding what the long-term effects were going to be on some of these kids, these COVID kids, as they call them. And so we started seeing this, anxiety surface with now 14. And as a parent, you want to help them, right? And so naturally you take them to the doctor, and the doctor does what doctors do, and instinctually, typically doctors would want to prescribe a pill. And like Krista said, we're, not being anti-drug or anti-big pharma, but, you're trying to find alternatives for like, how can I keep my kid healthy and help
Mhm.
them through this thing? And so that was a labor of love. For me, it was figuring out like, okay, I did a bunch of investigating work around what could be causing her anxiety. And I saw a lot of studies around low magnesium, low vitamin D3, low vitamin B6, and that we're in a world today where, agriculturally speaking, our food, we just don't have the same nutrition in our food that we once had. Our food has a lot less rich minerals and vitamins in it than it used to have 50 years ago. And
So
so
true.
we're just not getting enough. We're not getting enough of all the vitamins and minerals, but magnesium plays a huge part in not, just mood stability. Krista said sleep. It helps your muscles to relax and contract. So, tension and muscle fatigue, menstrual cramps. Magnesium can weigh on all of those things and so much more. And so I was like, well, like Krista said, first thing was, can I find a vitamin or a supplement? Good luck finding that on the market for kids that has magnesium, vitamin D3, vitamin B6. It does not exist. And then looking at all the foods, I'm like, well, the amount of food I'd have to feed her to get enough magnesium into her was just at the time, 10-year-old, that sounds impossible. It really was like a curiosity thing of like calling my manufacturer because we were new, we were about a year old, and we were making a lot of body butters, and we were making a lot of soap. We have amazing soaps, and we were making all this stuff, and I was like, I had done research and I saw that, magnesium was something you could do transdermally. So I called her and I was like, hey, we're already making these really awesome body butters. How hard would it be to add some magnesium and vitamin D3 to that? And she was like, we can do that. And so
Wow.
it started off, we almost called it Lily's cream because
Oh.
it was for her. And then we tried it and it worked. And then we started sharing it with our customer base. And we had so much feedback coming back from people about how it was helping them. And it started off just as a lavender magnesium cream. And now we have, like she said, we have 5 of them now. And even a sixth that we've added, which is our pain relief plus that has a bunch of other stuff in it. But anyway, when you develop something like that and then you try it and you see how much it helps your child and how it's now helping not just children, but it helps adults who struggle with anxiety, adults who struggle with pain, adults who struggle with sleep, adults who struggle with, fibromyalgia and just a multitude of things. And it helps people. It makes that worth every single minute that I spent trying to figure out if I could help her, because ultimately we make products that we just want to help people.
Mm. Oh, that's what it's all about, y'all, isn't it? Gosh, that makes my heart so happy. I think it's just I mean, this is why I do it. This is why I like to have really awesome guests like y'all on here because not only do I get to connect and learn from you, but it's just such an honor for me to be able to help you share your message and spread just the good work that y'all are doing and right in time for the holidays. So a little shameless
Yes.
plug too.
I mean, who doesn't have anxiety around the holidays? My
I
goodness.
know, right?
No, thank you for having us too. I mean, we love talking about Wholesome Hippie, but we love talking about how we help people manage the day-to-day stuff, not just beauty. Beauty is one aspect of it, and we started kind of as a beauty brand initially, although we had some wellness products in the beginning. So I struggle with migraines, so we had a head rescue very early,
Oh,
and
no.
still have a head rescue. We have stuff for first aid, an all natural, first aid. That was one of our early products. But mostly we were body butters and soaps and we were, the feel good stuff, right? And then beauty came along after that, like really good beauty, serums and moisturizers and all that stuff. But really the core of our business started with wellness. It really did start around, eczema rescue. I had eczema really bad as a child and nothing helped. All the medications they gave me burned my skin. Everything broke me out. And so, I wanted to develop something that would help kids with eczema. I wanted to help people with headaches. I wanted to help people with pain. Now I'm at the phase of life where I have a whole different level, which is menopause. I want to help people with that. So when we, like you said, we see a need, we do try to fill it if we can. And people don't I don't think the first logical place that your brain goes is like, "Hey, I should use a body butter for pain." That doesn't make sense, like, in your brain, right? You're like, "Oh, I should take an ibuprofen or, use a muscle rub or something." There are so many things that we can do through the skin to help manage those day-to-day things, and, while the bonus here is that not only do you get stuff that's good for your body, but it's also good for your skin. We are an all natural, small batch. We make everything in small batches, all natural, no GMOs, all clean
Mm.
ingredients. So we're making body butters with shea, cocoa, and mango butters that are just so you not only are doing good for the inside of your body, the outside's going to look good too. So there's a bonus.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. No, I love that. I think that's so important. And something that I really appreciated about Wholesome Hippie when I was exploring was just the inclusivity aspect of it. I know like one of y'all's kind of focuses on is agelessness. Like this is for everyone. Like wellness is for everyone. But something I specifically wanted to highlight that I know you just mentioned, Sherry, was just these kind of targeted products that are for people going through menopause. Because I feel like menopause is something that isn't talked about enough and as women, we're all going to go through it. And if you love a woman, you're going through it too, because it changes so much about how we feel, about how we function. And I don't think it's something that is as honored as it should be, just in my opinion, because what a gift aging is. There's so many people that don't get to live to experience menopause. So if you're going through that, I think it's something that can be embraced. And I was just really happy to see for like my mom and folks and down the line that there's something that is catering to that population and making it a part of the bigger conversation too because I just don't think again I'm not anti big pharma maybe just a little bit but I'm not anti it but it's also something that I feel like does not prioritize the female population the way that it should especially around
Well,
menopause.
yeah, and not only that, but if you are on the younger side of Savannah's demographic, even after having a baby and like how you should feel after having a baby, for example, a lot of times doctors just gaslight the hell out of us, right? About like, well, that's just normal. That's just normal. That's just and then once you get into our phase of perimenopause, which can happen as early as 35 when you can start getting brain fog and some of the symptoms, there's a lot of symptoms that go unnoticed by everybody when it comes to perimenopause. And again, I would urge you, if you are in the era of having babies and things like that, just, researching what you can do, because their first line of defense is typically just meds, right? Meds, 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 meds. Here, take this. It'll make you feel better after you have a baby, because it's completely normal. You just have a baby, your hormones are in complete out of whack because you've had a surge of hormones to carry the baby, and then you get depleted of hormones after you have the baby, and it's a mess. And so, like, I do wish we as a America as a society did more about post maternal,
Mm.
hormone balancing, and, just even physical therapy. Like, you went through a major trauma in your body by either having a
Yeah.
C-section for one, or, or not having a C-section, having naturally. Either way, it's surgical, right? After most surgeries, you have physical therapy. But for some reason here in America, we don't give physical therapy to
Mhm.
women after they've had a C-section to be able to reuse their abdomen muscles. And again, I mean, I could go on and on, but, like, our medical side of America, unfortunately, doesn't really take into consideration women's studies as much as they should.
Agreed.
I would say first, I want to go back to what you were saying, Savannah. It's very refreshing to see somebody that is younger thinking about what that's going to be like for them, or recognizing that you have somebody in your life that you love, that's going through that. Women, for the most part, have lived silently, quietly, suffered silently and quietly. As Krista said, being gaslit by doctors, going to the doctor, and them just even not even just maternity, but thinking about menopause, doctors saying, well, that's just the change of life. That just is how it is. Women have suffered, and now there's studies coming out that are showing that the effects that that's having on women and our mortality. And so the mortality rate, is now being looked at going, hey, we can actually prolong women's lives if we start looking at menopause, the menopausal age of life, where so many things are going wrong. And for centuries, they just said, they think that women, elder women, are just crazy. We are crazy. Our hormones are completely out of whack. Our bodies are looking for a hormone that's not being generated. It's not being created anymore like it once was. And so things start to go sideways, and they write you off as just being crazy, or, old, or whatever. But now they're saying it's linked to, our bone density, it's linked to our muscle structure, it's linked to fragility, like your bones get more brittle, our cognitive function. A lot of women, and not only that, take that all of that out of the equation and just look at the mental health of women at this
Oh,
age. Krista's kind of touching on that with the post maternity, the mental health aspect. You layer on not just your hormone depletion after having a baby, but then layer on being generally, when you have a new baby, you're also sleep deprived, and
mhm.
sleep deprivation causes all kinds of problems. So now take that and go into menopause.
Mm.
Hormone depletion that's not coming back. That's number one. Number
Mhm.
two, it affects your sleep. It causes insomnia and all kinds of other things. So now you're not getting enough sleep. Not only that, you add in the muscle issues and pain and joint inflammation and all this other stuff that comes out of nowhere. That wakes you up. And then throw in a few hot flashes and some night sweats, and things get really wild. And so if they
Yeah.
want to know why we want to maybe kill people for breathing too loud, that's why. Okay. But there's so many things that are happening. And what I love is that my age, my generation, my age range, we're starting to talk about it. Nobody warned
Mhm.
us. Nobody talked about it. Our mothers, they kept it quiet. Their mothers kept it quiet. We're not being quiet about it. We're starting to talk about it. And I love that it's becoming a topic of conversation, especially for younger women, because that is your future. And the more you know and the more educated you are, the younger you are, the more prepared you are, the more that you can advocate for yourself, the more that you can advocate for the greater community of women, where it's like, oh, there are things that we can do and we should be talking about. We developed a hormone balancing cream because there are women out there that can't do hormone replacement therapy. There are women out there that are looking for a natural solution. There are women out there that are just looking for something to help them feel somewhat like the person they used to know, because that's kind of what menopause does. It kind
Mhm.
of you kind of outgoes one chapter and you open a new one. There is life past menopause. There definitely
Yeah.
is. But we wanted to develop something that gave them things that they could use to manage it naturally. But also now I love seeing that there's conversations being had even in Congress about hormone replacement therapy for women. That was, men get their hormone replacement therapy paid for by insurance companies. We don't. They don't pay for women's hormone replacement therapy. So it's things like that. The more we talk about it, the more we put it out in front of people, the more young people like yourself become aware of this. Like, hey, wait a minute. Like, I wasn't thinking about menopause in my 20s. I wasn't thinking about it in my 30s. I didn't realize I was in perimenopause in my 40s. No, I had no idea. And so it wasn't until I actually arrived at like the phase of menopause where I was like, oh, now all these things make sense once I started to educate myself. So I like to spend time when I get the opportunity to educate people that are younger than me to say, hey, you should be thinking about this. Maybe it's early, but the earlier you think about it, the more you're aware of it, then when it happens, you are going to recognize it and go, oh, okay, I know what this is. I'm not just crazy. You can't just gaslight me into thinking that I'm crazy, and I just have to accept it because it's the change or whatever, the way of life. There's so much that we can do, especially as a collective, to bring
Mhm.
about that kind of awareness. And so I love that you're even willing to talk about it or have curiosity about it, and that you recognize there's women in your life that are going through that.
Absolutely. Well, thank you. I appreciate it. And thank you for being so open about sharing your own experiences and the mission behind what y'all do at Wholesome Hippie. And that's something I appreciated about just the messaging, that kind of subliminal aspect of what I was seeing on just the website, where it's not, I didn't see any verbiage of anti aging. I hate that
I
so
hate it
much
too.
because,
Because we're going to age. You can't stop it.
well, that, and it's like, I mean, like I said before, what a gift aging is. I don't think it's something that is talked about enough. Where like it's a blessing to be able to age, to be alive. And I think like why I appreciate y'all's mission of, this is a self-care thing. This is a mental health thing. Like, yes, you get to look good. Who doesn't want that? But also it's about like really taking care of ourselves from the inside out. And I'm really glad that y'all brought up like the gaslighting that some people can experience when it comes down to like these very normal things that happen when our bodies are changing, no matter what age we are, whether it's after having a baby, or if you choose to do that, or just going through something like menopause. I feel like it's something that is avoided because I think, especially in American culture, there's such a like the amount of value that's put on youth, and then as soon as
Oh,
we
yeah.
step away from youth, which is inevitable, it's like we're not valued anymore. Therefore, the research, the conversations, the aid is also not available anymore, and that's also avoided. But and even in my field, because I'm in the mental health, mental wellness field, and one of my specialties is helping people with psychedelics and using that as an alternative method of treatment. And I even remember, I'm solo practitioner now, but when I worked in a group practice, the male practitioners and doctors did not consider how something like a psychedelic, like a substance that had both chemical and emotional impacts, would change women's hormones. And that was something that a lot of my female clients and even myself going through my own training experienced, because of just the ingesting of a chemical that can throw your hormones out of whack. It threw
Oh,
my
yeah.
cycle out of whack. And then like the changes that my body went through healing sexual trauma, healing emotional trauma, and how our body also responds to that. I remember one of my clients thought she was pregnant because she healed so much during her treatments, that her breast grew and her cycle was thrown off, and she's like, "Oh my god, am I pregnant?" And I'm like, "Well, go ahead, take the test if you want." But no, I think what you're experiencing is your body is responding to the emotional changes right now. And all the male doctors were like, not just blown away, but I think they didn't even wanna have that conversation. They're like, "You're not an MD, you can't talk about that." And I'm like, "But it's happening. It is real. Like, people are impacted by this." I get a little heated and
It's all
fired up
right.
because,
I love it. No, I think it's that kind of passion that
mhm.
we need, especially
Yeah.
not I mean, we need that kind of passion in so many things, but especially when it comes to women's health. And, again, that how I can't say overlooked, but often overlooked in the medical world, I am going to be the first person to tell anybody out there listening, if you have a doctor that doesn't advocate for you, you have a doctor that doesn't listen to you, get a new doctor. Get a new doctor. The number of women I hear that say, well, my doctor won't listen, or they tell me this, or they tell me that. They're not listening to what you're saying. They're not really after trying to get to the root of whatever the issue is. Get a new doctor. Get one that will listen to you and will care about you and will make you feel seen, because a lot of times that even if they can't fix you, having a doctor actually see you, actually hear what you're saying and make you feel seen in that space, feels safe in that space, that alone
Mhm.
makes a huge difference when it comes to our mental health, especially as women. So, those, like I said, I'm not anti-drug, but I hate taking pills. I hate it. And especially because we live in this world that we live in. You watch any commercial that comes up on the television about some new drug and just listen to what they're saying.
It's crazy. Yeah.
Just think about that. The fact that they have to give us that disclaimer that, hey, by the way, this could cause this, and this. What I really am freaked out by are the commercials around drugs that are for like depression or mental
Mhm.
health, but then it says can cause suicidal thoughts and all these other. And I'm like, wait a minute. I'm supposed to take this to make me feel better about being depressed or make me be able to function, but it might actually make it worse. So it's that kind of stuff that I'm like, what is that? If you just step back for a moment and think about what are they trying to tell you? They're trying to tell you that, hey, this may not really be good for you, but we're going to give it to you anyway because it alters a part of your brain that makes you feel like you're healthy or feel better. But it doesn't mean that you're better on the inside, right? Or that your health is better, because a lot of those drugs cause a lot of crazy side effects. And so again, back to part of our mission here is that we try to create products that don't have that.
Mm.
There's zero drugs in any of our products. And we use nature. Nature has everything we need to heal us.
Period.
And so we create products that are all natural that, are not going to have that icky effect on your body. And you can feel good putting on your kids, you can feel good putting on yourself, you can feel good putting on your parents or your grandparents, because everything that we make is for everybody in the family, including the men, because men always think like they're like, can because we do live shows and talk about our products on TikTok. And we'll have guys that'll be like, can guys use this too? And I'm like, what part of what I was talking about made you feel like you couldn't use it?
Yeah.
Except, I mean, because we not the hormone balancing, although that's for guys too, because guys have hormones. But just any of our products, our magnesium creams, whatever, they're like, can guys use this? And I'm like, why do you think you can't use this? Do you have skin? You can put it on your skin.
Hey, I
That's
know
it.
I need to interrupt, and hopefully you can edit this out, but I have a package that has to be signed for. I'll be right back. I'll be
Go
just
for it. Yeah, no
30
problem.
seconds.
I
All right.
understand.
It's one of those FedEx where you have to sign, and of course,
Yeah,
they would
and
show
then
up while we're doing the podcast, of course.
no, that's how it always goes, right? And then it's like a nightmare if you don't sign for it, and you have to go to the warehouse, and
Yeah,
it's just
yeah,
pain. Yeah.
yeah.
By all means, I understand.
So anyway, that I love that you are again back to, when I don't know, I'm guessing you're in your 20s somewhere. When I was your age, I was not thinking about any of those things. And so I love that where our youth and our young people are thinking today, where we did not. But again, part of that had to do with the fact nobody was talking about it. Like I said, it was, menopause and postpartum, after you've had a baby, anything really to do with women and their reproductive systems and just women's health in general was a very taboo subject
Mhm.
for like my mother's generation and my grandmother's. They just didn't talk about it. Women just suffered silently. And I think we've gotten to a point where it's like, but why are we doing that? We don't have to do that. And so a lot more women are speaking out. And I think that that's obviously trickling down younger people. And I love that because I wish somebody had been talking about it when I was younger, because then I would have been like, oh, is this something I should be thinking about? I might have been more curious. I might have had questions. Meanwhile, I'm over here just trying to figure it out because I have, there's no rule book. There's no handbook. Right?
Mhm.
So wisdom and, the wise sages or whatever are starting to share that. But we're doing it in a way where it's like, no, we're kind of more pissed off that nobody talked about it, so that's why we're talking about it.
Rightfully so.
Yeah.
Shit. Yeah. No, absolutely. It makes sense. Yeah. And I mean, I wanted to circle back to something you said a second ago, Sherry, about the advocacy piece, and that's one of the reasons, like with a practitioner, like a doctor or someone, because that's why I wanted to bring this up because it's something that I saw that y'all have experience in, not just as women, but in catering to the different needs that show up for people. Because with my practice, like my mental wellness practice, I mean, I work with women from all walks of life, so I feel like it's my duty to be curious and to understand, not just for myself, because it's coming down the pipe eventually, but to be able to understand like what like people I love, like my mom, but also like my clients because they're going through different things. And maybe, yes, because I'm 28, I don't totally relate to everything, but I know it's something that is part of our shared human experience. But with the doctor advocacy piece, I think if anyone's listening, I'm so glad you brought that up because it's something I share with my clients. Because I can't tell you how many times I have to remind people if they're maybe seeing like their psychiatrist, which I'm grateful to work with many fantastic psychiatrists, but there's also a lot of them out there that aren't good and that have this kind of like authority complex. And I know especially with, like, women of color, they have been facing this for on a whole other level of extremes. I know, like, natal care for women of color is, like, historically, like, very tragic, and I think that's something else that needs to be talked about, but circling back to, like, I always remind people, like, you're paying this doctor's bills. Like, you are showing up, you are hiring this doctor. You're hiring me. Like, you can fire me. Like, what I say is not the gospel truth, but you're employing me right now as your care provider because, I have, like, experience and education, etcetera, but you don't always have to agree with me, and at the end of the day, you have free will and you're a person. And even if that person has a medical degree, yes, let's hope they are practicing what they preach and doing the right thing. But if they're not making you feel safe, or if they're just like, try this and see how you feel in 3 months, and that's your life. You can't just like put your life on hold or feel like shit for 3 months. Like at the
Right.
end of the day, like if it's not working, you can say goodbye and move on to someone else. And I just feel like that's also something that's not talked about enough. So
No.
I'm grateful you brought that up.
No, I talk about
Not
it
to get
often.
sorry.
I was just saying, I talk about it as often as I can if the opportunity is there because I think a lot of women don't feel like they can get a different doctor or don't feel like they can advocate for themselves, especially, and I don't mean to be sexist in any way, but I think even especially if they have a male doctor. And so, get a new doctor, especially when it comes to your female health and wellness, get a female doctor. Not that
Mhm.
all the female doctors are great, because they're not all great, but find a good female doctor and one that will listen to you and one that has awareness of her own body and, whatever she might be going through makes them, I think sometimes, not always, but sometimes more empathetic and more willing to
Mhm.
listen and not just write a prescription and send you on your way.
Mhm.
What were you
Mhm.
saying, Krista? I'm sorry.
I was just gonna say, not only that, but no is a complete sentence. So, like, giving
Period.
permission to say no when something doesn't feel right. And also, as women, we were kind of bred to just be, yes sir, no sir, yes ma'am, no ma'am. Especially down here in the South, and really advocating for yourself. You know what? Because in the end, it doesn't matter what these people think of you because this is your health and your life. And if you have to be like, I'm going to explore other things, then you go and you explore, and they don't even have to know for that matter. I mean, young people probably don't realize that, like, if you walk into a doctor in their 20s, especially when you are going on your own for sometimes the first time, right, to some of these doctors, you don't really know, like, what I didn't know what to expect. I just was like, oh, okay, I'm 20 or I'm 20 whatever, and this is how this goes, so I just have to go along with it. You don't have to go along with it. If you don't feel safe and you don't feel like that's where you are getting the most help in a safe place, then you need to bounce.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah, well said, absolutely, and I wanted to circle back to something you said too, Krista, about just going back to, like, postmen or not postmenopause, why am I blanking? After you have a baby.
Postpartum.
Postpartum.
I got the post part right, but anyways, yes, the postpartum, and how that's I think sometimes people don't always understand, like you said, like, the surgical level that women's bodies have experienced, and I think like, what a lot of people kind of forget too is, like, women, not only did we like, when you make a little baby, like, you're creating a human being with all these organs, but, like, you yourself are creating and shedding a placenta, a whole other human organ. And to me, if you really think about it, that shit's crazy. I'm
It
like,
is crazy.
You think about
crazy.
not only that, but when you get a C-section, they're literally cutting into your abdomen muscle, like, to
Yeah,
get to that baby, to get to that placenta. I think that and again, this isn't like a male bashing session, but I think that if any male were to have their abdomen think about that. If their abdomen was cut through to get something, I just think post-care would be very different.
yeah. Shoot, I even think about IUDs. I think, they just
Yes, yes, yes.
yeah, like, I almost passed out when I got my ID put in, and I was unwell for a couple days. Like, I couldn't leave the doctor's office because I was, like, just so messed up from it. And then I heard, like, that they're making, and of course, what you see on the internet, take with a grain of salt, but there's, like, a male IUD that's coming out that they can go under anesthesia for, and I'm
Of
like, "Get
course.
the fuck out of here."
Of
I'm
course.
like, "Oh my god." Yeah.
Listen, they
I
don't
saw the same thing.
the guys, they will knock them out for anything. Where women, if they get just talking about IUD, like when a woman gets a biopsy, they don't numb anything. They're literally taking a chunk of you out of your body and they're like, oh, it's going to pinch a little. No, it hurts. Same with when they do your pap smears, all
Yeah.
kinds, so many different female mammograms. They literally turn your boob into a pancake. There's just so many things that women endure in the what almost feels like these like the mammogram feels like a torture device. It's not, but it
Yeah,
feels like it, and it looks kind of like one too.
yeah.
Especially, we won't get into that, but
I remember my mom telling me about it, and I'm like, "They do what?"
it's
I'm so glad I have little
it's
titties right now.
the fact that we are in 2000, about to be 2026, and we are still doing this is crazy to me. But men, they don't know. They're not. I heard that now they even have what is it? Because we get like our pap smears and our mammograms, whatever the annual ones are. The men's prostate exam they now can do through a blood test now, so that they don't have to endure, the finger up the
So how much research had to be done for that to happen
for
versus
blood
we've
work,
been
just blood
getting
work.
pap smears and all these things for however long at this point, and it's still probably it's the same. It's the same. So for all of you ladies out there in your early 20s, mid 20s that are going through this stuff, I would actually seek out somebody else's advice. Like you don't have to keep that to yourself. These are not conversations that can't be discussed now. I think back, even when I was younger in my 20s, it's not really something that you discuss. I think
I
people
said
are
it
a lot
was
more
very, very
open. Yeah,
taboo
there's
topic.
a lot more
Yeah.
open now. So if something doesn't quite feel right, like speak up. It's okay.
Yeah, no,
Mhm.
talking about the blood, like the blood tests for the guys or whatever. I think here's what I think the difference is. Men, they do advocate for themselves.
Mhm.
And they do speak up when things are uncomfortable, and they speak up when things are like, no, that hurts. I'm not going to do that. Women haven't done that. We for centuries, probably thousands of years, have endured and kept quiet and just took the pain. And now I think it's our time to speak up and advocate for ourselves. But I think that's why they get stuff like that, because they have advocated for themselves. And it helps that in the medical field, there was a time when all the doctors were male. Women weren't allowed to be doctors. And so, now that we have more female doctors, we have more women that are in that world and have
Mhm.
using their voice. I think we'll see more change, but unfortunately, I still think we're probably a
Takes
good
time.
10
Yeah.
years out before we see anything significant.
Yeah, yeah. Yes, well, I'm gonna carry the torch, ladies, don't you worry,
You
I'm
do
kidding.
that. You do that. We're counting
Yeah.
on you.
Like, I think it's so important, and it just I mean, thinking about, like God, I saw this photo of, like, lawmakers, and the conversation was women's health, and there wasn't a single woman in that room, and I am so firm on no ovaries, no uterus, no opinion. I'm like, "I
Right.
don't wanna hear a damn thing out of your mouth. I don't care." Like
Well, I
I
think
saw
that's
that.
another I think that going back to what I was just talking about where the men advocate for themselves and more there were more male doctors and they had more of a presence or whatever. I think the same thing applies to what you're talking about. When you look around the room, here you have a woman standing there addressing an entire group of people about women's health and everybody in the room listening are men, that is a problem. And so until we fix that, I don't think we'll see the change. That's why I said I still think we're probably a good 10 years out before we see that because we've got to cycle through. Hopefully, most of them. Well, I'll shut my mouth.
Yeah, yeah, zip it.
This is a safe space. Listen, this is a safe
It
space.
is until listen, I have over 7 million followers. Somebody's gonna listen to this that's gonna be like, look what she said. I can't. I
I
have to be
feel you. I
careful.
feel you.
I have to
Yeah.
be careful because what I would want to say is not very nice. And so I'll just keep it to myself because that'll get
Well,
me
there
in
you are
trouble.
being so conscientious, and that's what women all had to do that
Bite
too
my
as well.
tongue.
Yep, yep,
I've been
yeah.
biting
Well,
it for a long time till it bleeds.
I feel you. I feel you. Well, shifting gears a little bit, I just wanted to touch on this real quick too, just with the overall holistic side of Wholesome Hippie and the accessibility piece. This is like going back to way earlier in our conversation with the magnesium cream that has like the components to help you focus for folks who maybe have ADHD or our other neurospicy kin out there. I think that's something too that you don't see very much of. I feel like it's just a lot of wellness stuff is very like one size fits all. And if you're neuroatypical or neurospicy, like sometimes these certain kind of things don't factor that in. So I just wanted to give you another shout out when it comes down to thinking
Thank you.
about that for folks of us out there and listeners and viewers who need something that not only helps them feel better, but that has them and their brain in mind. Cause I just don't feel like that's also talked about enough.
We have a lot. I just want to touch on this real quick. We have a lot of parents with kids with autism and that are on the spectrum and that just have a hard time calming, because imagine like what's going on in their brains and that if they're not able to fully communicate what it is that they need, that I imagine that their anxiety levels are very high, right? So even something and something that is topical and easy to apply for them, and they're not again having to give a pill or something like that is great for parents with kiddos with special needs that need help with sleep or need help with pain or like you said, our neuro spicy people out there who need a little added focus to their day and pain and those kids also usually are in pain in other ways. It's like the morbidity. That word's hard for me. So we really really want to help those parents and the kids, because it's tiresome for everybody. So in the house and when
But
when people aren't sleeping, you're going a little
yeah.
cray cray. So
The our daytime focus cream though is not just for kids. We did develop
no.
it with kids in mind, the kids that are struggling because again, medicating, I mean when I was growing up, they didn't label nobody was neurospicy or neurodivergent. They didn't call it ADD. They just called you hyper
Yeah.
or a problem, right? That's what they call them. And so those kids typically they dealt with them either through corporal punishment or tried to beat it out of you, or they would drug them. They put them on drugs. There are parents. I don't want to drug my kids if they're they're either on the spectrum or they struggle with ADHD or whatever it is. Focus. We wanted something that was good for the kids, but in all honesty, I see it more. I'm surprised now. I'm not surprised anymore, but there was a time when I was very surprised at how the number of adults that were actually struggling with this. And now that I've hit, by the way, menopause, another thing menopause brings into your life that you weren't prepared for is how anxious and also how difficult focus becomes.
Mhm.
And so now I'm like, have I always been ADHD? Like, I feel like I am, but I was undiagnosed. I'm not diagnosed, but I feel that anxiety and that stress around struggling to focus, struggling to keep my brain from going a million miles an hour. We developed our daytime focus cream for everybody, but we really wanted something that was really just mild and safe and helps people with get through their workday if that's what they're struggling with, whether it's energy levels. Because being personally on the days when I really struggle with that focus side, and my brain feels like it's all over the place, I don't know if maybe it's just me. It's exhausting. It makes me tired,
Yeah.
and so that our daytime focus cream is our magnesium cream with still has the magnesium and the vitamin D3, but we added guarana and
Mm.
to help with your energy levels to keep you without the jitters that you might get from coffee. A lot of people reach for that afternoon coffee, but then they get the jitters. So this is giving you a little bump of energy without the jitters. It's got the B12 in there. People don't, if you don't know, guarana and B12 are very beneficial to your cognitive function. And so, and also it smells, we call it Happy Hippie. It smells like bergamot orange. So it has a nice invigorating,
Ooh.
uplifting scent. And so you get all the benefits. It can help with you. It helps calm anxiety. It helps with the focus. It helps with energy. But you can still use it for pain. You can still use it for muscle cramps. Like it still has all those same ingredients. We just added some extras in there because we wanted something to really help. And that one most of our products came out of my own personal needs. This one came really out of Krista's. She's extremely ADD and she needed something to help her. And so we developed it. We wanted something that would help target, hey, because I'd look at her and be like, focus. I need you to just focus for 2 minutes. Can I get 2 minutes? It helps with that. So she uses it quite frequently, and we send it to kids to our kids to school, especially on days when they have tests or they have
Yeah. Yeah.
something big they have to study for. That they really need that focus to be there. They have it in their backpacks, and they know they can reach for it when they need it to help them to get through their school day. And so again, we're always looking for not like we want to fill every need, but when we see that there's a need that we
Mhm.
can fill
Mhm.
through a holistic practice or all natural way, then we work through development. Now we try to develop other products that haven't come to uh, fruition yet. We always have ideas, but when we see them, like the menopause thing, I was like, we have to make something to help me with all this stuff that I'm coping with and perimenopause, and then thinking about when I wasn't in menopause, I wasn't in perimenopause, still having hormonal issues. So it's called Pump Up the Yam, Wild Yam Cream, is for everybody if you've had a cycle and beyond, it's for anybody in that age range. So it's not like just for women in menopause or just for women that are postpartum. It's for even teenage girls that struggle with heavy cramps and heavy bleeding and major mood swings. It helps with from them on. And so again, always looking for ways that we can help. That's really what it boils down to. It's like, how can we help? Especially for the number of people that tell us like they can't take whatever medication maybe that would be normally prescribed for something like that, or they can't use a certain something because of it has something in it that interferes with something with their health in some way. We provide products that help them manage those things.
Well, really appreciate, I mean, it just sounds like, and it's so clear that thoughtfulness and love and generosity are at the heart of Wholesome Hippie. And I love to see that. And I'm very grateful that you both have been so open and generous as well with sharing just about your mission and the development and how you got here in your own journey. And just thank you for that.
Thank
And
you.
so where can folks track you down and learn more from you and get their Wholesome Hippie products? Because they got to do it. They need to know.
So you can find us at wholesomehippie.com. We have a website where you can find all of our products. If you're looking for something a little bit more beyond that, find us on the socials. We're Wholesome Hippie Naturals on TikTok. We're on Instagram. We're on Facebook. And if you catch us, you might catch us sometime live on TikTok, where we sit and we do just this. We talk about what the products do and how they can help. We answer people's questions. We get a lot of people who come in and say, well, do you have anything that helps with this or anything that helps with that? So we know that there are people that are out there constantly seeking something to help them with whatever they're struggling with in their life. And so we spend a lot of time getting to know those folks and helping connect them with products. Or if we don't have something they need, just sharing a story that might be able to help guide their path. And so, yeah, you can always find us on the socials. Most of the everything you're looking for is at wholesomehippie.com.
Beautiful. Amazing. Well, either Krista or Sherry, was there anything else that was on your heart today? I know we covered like such a nice broad amount of information today, but you both are so dynamic. Was there anything else that you wanted to mention to anyone listening or viewing today?
I don't. You got anything, Krista? I think I've said enough.
think think that, you mentioned about our focus. We just want everyone to feel their absolute best so that they can go take over the world. I don't know. Like you can't you can't get everything out of this life that you want if you're feeling some sort of way that is kind of blocking you to, whether it's pain or whether it's hormones or whether, any of those things. If that's in your way, then there's things that you're not able to achieve. So, imagine what you can achieve if you're feeling whole.
Mhm. Mm. Well said. I think that's the perfect place to wrap up. But I appreciate you both, Sherry, Krista. Thank you so much. This was so much fun. And to
Thank
those
you.
who tuned in, thank you for listening. Thank you for watching and for being on this journey with all of us. And I will drop the links and socials in the description so it's easy for y'all to find these two amazing light workers out here doing amazing work. Thank you both so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Alrighty, y'all. Well, take care. And until next
You
time, this
too.
is Eclipse Evolution. Yes, ma'am. Y'all have a good one.